So for my audience that don't know you already, tell us a bit about what you do.
I'm just a guy who's on a mission to, as I say, live a life by design, and I'm kind of at that stage now.
I actually think the system's biggest weapon is the time. Whoever decides to go to uni and then travels after, I think to myself, what are you doing?
I don't think it's okay that we send our kids off 5 days a week for 6 hours a day to be brought up by someone else.
So the actual skills you learn doesn't correlate to any real world skills anyway. So it's just pointless.
Let me tell everyone out there.
Yeah.
School is a total waste of time. College is a total waste of time. University is a total waste of time. As soon as you leave secondary school, build a business and go hard from 18 to 25.
Okay, gents, welcome back to episode 6 of the Manners Maketh Man podcast. I want to start by saying a massive thank you to everybody that is tuned in so far. It means a lot, and in many ways you are a part of this journey. This podcast is all about growth, discipline, and becoming a man of substance that you know you can become. And I'm dedicated to making sure I bring you the best value and the guests every single week, every single month throughout 2026. All I ask is that you go and hit that subscribe button because it helps me massively. Anyway, without further ado, welcoming the guest, Aaron Knightley. How are you, mate?
Thank you so much. There we go. We can't move the mics.
No,
Remember
can't
that?
move the mics. We won't be doing that.
I love that, like the prep talk.
100%.
I'm good, man. Good to be here.
Yeah, so for my audience that don't know you already, tell us a bit about what you do.
Well, it's an interesting one because I'm just going to stick to my values. I'm just a normal guy who aspired to have more from life. I come from a working class background where my parents worked incredibly hard physically. I didn't do well at school. I had no interest in it, to be honest with you. I've been a bit of a wild card my whole life. Had an entrepreneurial flair clearly from an early age, which became very apparent as I got older. Nothing special. I don't go by a title. I'm just a guy who's on a mission to, as I say, live a life by design, and I'm kind of at that stage now.
What does that look like for you, a life by design?
To be unapologetically authentic, 24/7, 7 days a week, 52 weeks of the year.
You wear your heart on your sleeve.
Yeah, and I've learned that none of it's about money. I've got some incredibly wealthy friends. I've made good money myself. I make good money now. And there is truth behind it. It doesn't... There's a point where, money gives you options and resources and flexibility and that kind of stuff, and it can speed up journeys, or, depending on what you're doing and where you want to go. But really, as I'm getting older, and I became a father very early, as I said to you just before we started, I'm all about protecting my peace and
100%.
And separation of my work life and then living my private life. And
If you don't mind me asking, how old were you when you had your first child?
I just turned 20.
Right, cool. That's young, isn't it?
So I was really young. Yeah, and I went through that moment of thinking, I've
got to be an adult.
But for some men, from a male perspective, it really puts you on the straight and narrow, and it did for me.
How do you think you're preparing your children now to go into this new societal, outlook on life?
Well, we could get so deep with this, but I believe that the way the world is going, because it's so noisy, it's so loud, it's so corrupt as well, and I think
100%.
we're realizing with files coming out and information is so easily accessible, and independent reporting on everything is widely spread. So we're becoming more aware of the lies and stuff like this. So I'm a big believer in learning from history.
Yeah.
And then not making the same mistakes again, and really listening to life, because when life beats you down, you have to listen and take accountability. So with that knowledge and that what I call like ultimate wisdom now, I pass it on
100%.
to my son about really being in the moment with family.
Yeah.
It's not about materialistic things, like being very conscious. You're how old?
23.
23, which is a great age to be very conscious. You've got a head on your shoulder. You sound like you know what you're on about. Like you're very well in tune, clearly, with business and everything like this, which is great. So I'm doing that with my son, and
100%.
He's very, very young.
I think a part of that as well, it's like that pattern recognition thing. You're trying to spot kind of what somebody wants you to believe, and then kind of almost do the opposite in a way, right? I think we now know that the system has become corrupt. I also believe there are like little rifts in time where, you know, there are pockets of opportunity to go after something. For me right now, especially in my generation, AI has become a real big thing. Now, I want to talk to you a bit about your mission as well, because you speak a lot about escaping the 9 to 5. Talk to me about that.
Well, for me, it's understanding that we're here for such a short period of time.
Yeah.
And I find it bizarre and fascinating. I'm really interested in like human psychology now, leaning towards more like philosophical and just really understanding like life. And for me, I just find it fascinating that I'm going to speak from a male perspective, that a male or a female, but a male would give away control. Because as soon as you go into a job interview, it's game over. You're suppressed from day one. You're suppressed really from school.
Yeah.
You know, it's totally lined up and the system's working perfectly and it churns out worker bees. And I just am on this mission because I find it crazy how not many other people are really questioning that you give away control, you suppress your true authentic self, you go through loss of identity, midlife crisis, which happens at any age, is higher than ever right now.
100%.
People don't know who they are. They're unhappy and they're not fulfilled. Yet the answers to solving those problems are so apparent. Like they're so in front of our face. So I'm just kind of the guy that's very. I just say it as it is.
Yeah.
And I have this polarizing, effect.
Yeah.
And I just say, why are we giving away control? And then obviously I dive into all the avenues of how to get out and. Yeah.
If the system is working exactly how it's supposed to be working, what sort of point for you did you feel that shift where you knew it was a lie?
Well, I was very lucky that I went through hardship quite early on. So I learnt these lessons earlier than what I believe most people do.
Yeah.
You know, I have a lot of feedback from my socials that people are in their 50s, even 40s, 50s and 60s that are now learning what I learnt at 21.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
So 21 years old, I was thrown under the bus. I realised you couldn't trust co-workers. I realised that this was a situational environment that was highly competitive, that was always 24/7 backstab season, and you can't reveal your true self because people will leverage information. I learned that at 21, and I decided enough was enough, and I have it in me. Like I have the natural traits of an entrepreneur.
100%.
I have the natural ability to do that. And from 21 years old, I went on a mission to change my life.
Do you think everybody has that natural ability?
No, not everyone has the natural ability, but one thing that does get on my gripe is when people, especially in the comments, say, and this is because of their peers and who they surround themselves with, their beliefs on this and lack of information, is that where people say, well, not everyone can run their own business. Not everyone can do that. Not everyone. But this is the problem. We write it off before someone's even tried.
100%. Yeah, you've not even dived into it enough. The thing for me, I always feel that, back to your point about kind of when you realised that you weren't built for this, I believe that there are kind of stages of consciousness, but there are stages of being in work anyway. I actually believe that if you were kind of more at the bottom to start off with, it's going to galvanize you into taking action because you are at the bottom of the pile. I feel like if you're too far into the system and being rewarded by the system, let's say you're a banker, you can buy a nice car, you know, you're kind of too far afield to even see the system for what it is. And it's funny because you meet these people and they've got no conspiracy theories. You know, they're always tapping their ticket for the train and stuff. Not saying that you shouldn't do that, guys, but you can't see it for what it is. Back to the psychology thing. You like psychology. What do you think the psychology is behind staying in a job that you dislike?
Well, really, before the psychology, it's actually consumer spending. Like they get themselves stuck. You know, people are on the hamster wheel. I always find it fascinating when I come this part of London, you know, off of London Bridge. Yeah. Because, again, I observe and I think, this is so mad. Like, I'm on my way to do a podcast, strolling, you know, just minding my own business. I'm in no rush, go home. Whereas people are walking at 100 miles an hour. And when you observe it, it really is crazy. Like, when you pause and just watch, and everyone's got the 3-piece suit, and everyone's on the phone, and everyone's doing deals for their employer. Or, you know, look, there's a lot of entrepreneurs in London. Right? There's a lot of successful people. But majority, 90%, are working for someone else, which is, there's no problem with the job. I thoroughly enjoyed my last job, but it wasn't my path. But it is crazy how people, yes, get sucked into the banker. I know bankers, and they're doing 70 hours a week. They're on anxiety tablets. They're depressed.
Wild. Yeah.
Their missus is having an affair.
Yeah.
They don't see their kids because they're on 120, 130 and 140. And the problem is the wife spends or the husband spends, lifestyle goes up. They need the job, dependency, stagnant because they're doing one role for so long. And, it's very much with the blinkers on, which is incredibly dangerous.
I think it's also a planned life, and I think a planned life is a boring life. I think for me, it kind of blocks serendipity in a way. And what I mean by that is, we're entrepreneurs. If I want to sleep in and then get to work at 3:00, I only need a 3-4 hour window to really get what I need to get done. And for me, what that allows me to do is, when I don't plan things out, like meticulously, like call here, work here, this is my lunch break, I now have room to have creative thoughts throughout my day. And I really like that, because then when I have a creative thought, I can then act upon it.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's super important. And I don't think enough people, have that space to do it. And like you said, everybody's moving at such a quick speed. You don't have time to slow down. No. Slowing down's when you have the thoughts, right?
Well, Again, diving into it deeper behind the mindset of all of this is it is so dangerous. And I actually, I couldn't use a better word than dangerous, because when you are in survival mode, 5 days, on average, 5 days a week, and you only get to be yourself a day and a half, a day and 3/4 at the weekend, because most people spend that last quarter worrying about the Monday and the dread. So it's really only a day and 3/4. When you're doing that year after year, you can't imagine anything better.
No.
And that's what I find really scary, going back to being at school. What do you want to be when you're older? What job do you want to do? I tell my son, where do you want to go? What do you want to explore? Where would you love to be? Like, what problem do you want to solve? It's open-ended.
Yeah.
And that's what scares me, is that, but we do have to caveat this with, the fact is not everyone's, there has to be workers.
There has to be. The system is what it is. I mean, I was very lucky in a way, because I was always labelled dyslexic at school. Now, I always felt like it was a superpower for me, because I never really, when I had an idea, I didn't need to box all the ideas into one box, right? And I was kind of free to go, this is how I think, I'm going to solve a problem in a different way. But I was also very fortunate, because I grew up as a footballer, so I had the discipline to then go into my entrepreneurship and take it into that. But I do completely agree. What do you think the main weapon is for them to indoctrinate us? What do you think it is?
Well, I think routine and process.
Yeah.
When you do something over and over again, and when you go out of line or you make a mistake, it's snapped upon. There's a repercussion, there's a consequence. The workplace is a more severe state of what school used to be. There's still gossip.
Yeah.
If you make a mistake, it just means that the consequence is bigger, because you might have liabilities. And so if you step out of line, there's a crack of the whip.
100%.
So you're, I don't want to do that again. You get burnt. Whereas I'm making mistakes. I've made mistakes today. I made mistakes yesterday. My business partner made mistakes. And it's like, okay, cool. We're not going to do that again. But now we know what to do. We've come up against another wall.
It's a team effort as well.
Yeah, it's about learning and actually embracing failure. Like, I love rejection. I've done over 500 street interviews. I've been rejected. Do you want to? Can I ask you a question? No, don't.
Yeah.
I'm just like.
I don't. I think the thing is with rejection as well, it's actually somebody turning around to you and saying no. I can really identify and spot the pattern, like we just said, about who's going to be successful based off rejection. Do you have fire in your belly to then go, I'm not going to put up with that. I'm going to keep on going and break through that wall and become who I want to become. That leads me on to my next question. How do you think thoughts dictate your reality?
Well, this is an interesting one, because people who sit in their own thoughts for too long but don't have a supportive network can spiral off, because they only have themselves to talk about, to talk to. People who have parents that don't support their entrepreneurial desire might never go on to do that thing, because the parents are going, don't get ahead of yourself, stay in your job.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, that's the safe place. So thoughts can be great. and they can be really bad, and you can go either direction. I think what complements your mindset is you have to have a great network, because that's a blessing that I now have, is that even if I'm in self-doubt, which we all still go through, I can make a phone call to an individual who has done the thing that I want to do, and then I can sound, that can become a soundboard. Yeah, and I can just remind myself, rather than, I always say don't overthink past 5 o'clock in the evening.
I like that,
because your brain is naturally shutting down. It's tired, depending on what you do during the day. But I don't make big decisions after 5 p.m. because I just know that it's not. I'm not going to be on the ball. I'm not where I should be to make important decisions. So I think that's just knowing your body clock as well.
Yeah, 100%. Do you have a routine, or are you very unplanned?
No, I'm very routine. Like, I'm up every day at 5:30. I'm in the gym. I normally train twice a day. I do my cardio in the morning, go back for weights. I came from a family that had no money. I'm the first entrepreneur in my entire family, as far as I'm aware, going back however long. I don't come from nothing. No. I'm never losing my bite. I never become complacent. I don't spend money on materialistic things. I don't get caught up with the Joneses. I never, underneath this, I'm in great shape. Yeah. I'm in great shape. And although the aesthetics of being in shape is great, it's like you, I played very high level football from the age of 6 to nearly 18. And discipline for me and my physical ability is so important, which then propels me in business.
What do you think comes first, the body or the mind?
Well, I've heard this question asked a lot. For me, it is if you're disciplined with your physique, everything else is downstream. Yeah.
I think what it is like a run will do way more for your mood than kind of thinking about doing the run. You might as well just do the run. You'll feel better after.
Well, I go to the end with everything. So I simplify everything. If you're going to make money, which is one of the most asked questions on Google, is how to make money. Yeah. Why do people want to make money when the majority of people are overweight? Studies show it, like the facts and figures are out there that most people are pretty overweight, not morbidly obese, but definitely sitting above their BMI, what they should be. And the majority of these people want to make more money because, it's about 98% of people that don't like their jobs. Yeah. So they don't like their situations. Why would you want to make more money, invest, cash flow, build a business? By 60, 70 years old, you couldn't liquidate that and still live off of it. So it doesn't add up. I always go to the end goal. If I'm going to do this, what will my life be like when I obtain it? If I do, will I still be able to enjoy it? Again, humans, very odd.
We are very odd, and bless us. But I think even kind of like the manifestation bit around that, I think being able to kind of see the end goal. I always say to people that, see the end goal, envision it, believe it, but the steps to get to that goal, don't overlook the bridge that's going to get you to the goal, and be prepared to do the bit in the middle. And I don't think most people are prepared to do that.
Look, escaping the 9 to 5, building a business, making money, getting in great shape. It's so simple that there's no secret. Yeah. Discipline, consistency, never giving up, self-belief, mindset, beating the drum every single day without knowing that there's guarantees. This is the conversation that comes up all the time. Well, I would do it, but nothing's guaranteed. No, it's not.
Do you think it's a part of the culture in the UK? Because I'm sure you've probably heard the saying, tall poppy syndrome. And for me, it's kind of like, grow, but don't grow too much, because, you're not going to bring us along with you. I had a really interesting call with somebody the other day saying, in America, we don't think like that. If we do well, our friend does well, they might bring them with us, right? In the UK, we seem to have lost that. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, well, America is very different. I have a friend who went out to Alphalete, and he said, you've got creators that have got millions of followers that will help the guy who's only got 4,000.
100%.
We don't do that in the UK. It's like, I have a big following now. Yeah. I'll share everyone. I don't care what's going to happen to me. No one's going to I've had that. I've experienced that. Why? Well, it's really interesting. I could show you a voice note of someone I messaged 4 years ago. Right. And he voice noted me to say this. Oh, hi, Aaron. Yeah, just wanted to ask. Sorry, mate, that I didn't get back to you 4 years ago. How are you growing on YouTube? Like, have you got a team and all this lot? And I just left it on red and never replied. I thought, no. I asked you for advice when you were ahead of me 4 years ago. But
And you didn't forget.
And I didn't know but I am that guy. You help me out. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours.
100%.
And I've got really good scratching, right? But while I think we're just quite a selfish culture. That's it.
Yeah.
And also, it's your environment. I'm around very, very giving people. There's a couple of friends that are literally a stone's throw away, and they run a couple of businesses between about 2 to 300 million, literally stone's throw. So charitable.
Yeah.
So charitable. And so how could I not? So it's really down to who you are surrounded with.
100%. I do think that is part of the entrepreneurial journey as well, because a lot of my close network, they're so giving. And I recently started networking with somebody, I won't say their name, but we had such amazing ideas together. And we had all these different like AI plans, all of it. And we turned around to each other and said, we're doing some really good creative work here. It goes, let's not partner up with each other on a business. Let's just be friends and enjoy that process. And it's so important to do that. I think it's a real kind of lesson that entrepreneurs overlook. Because what is networking anyway? I mean, I think as humans, we are reasonably conditional. I don't think as a man, unconditional love and that kind of stuff really plays a part in our lives anyway. But for me, it's kind of like you have value to give. Somebody has value back, right? You see eye to eye and then you share ideas. Doesn't always need to be a business opportunity.
Yeah, that doesn't. And you should start off by nurturing friendship first.
Yeah.
Like, let's do a live example on here. After this, I will introduce you to a good friend of mine who sold his business for 100 million recently. Okay. So he'll come on as a guest.
Yeah.
You can, and then you'll meet him. And he's incredibly wealthy.
Well, I appreciate that.
Building a very fast brand at the moment. You'll see him. You'll see him on TV very soon and stuff like that. I'll introduce you to him. So there we go. That is the difference between the workplace. Do you know that ended up being one of my core drivers to get out, is that when I was still working my job and I started building a business in finance, really randomly. And so I was up and down in Mayfair a lot and I was figuring this whole journey out, really winging it. So when I started meeting really wealthy people, bearing in mind, I had to overcome the tattoo on my neck. I was always wearing turtlenecks in the height of summer and, sweating my nut off and all this kind of stuff. And I was building these relationships. And then I had this light bulb moment, like really wealthy people and successful people, they're not all pompous.
No.
So then when I was going back to a job, I couldn't fathom that I'll say his first name, Dan, who just got a promotion, who's now on 46 grand, walks around like he owns a show, talking to people like absolute dirt. And I thought, I've just come away from 100 million, guy in business. Why am I listening to 46,000 a year Dan throw his weight about? Mad.
I think it's back to your point, though, with keeping up with the Joneses thing, right? You're trying to prove to people all the time on who you are.
It's validation.
And it's validation, right?
Yeah.
I think there's a massive crossover at the minute, especially with my generation, that I'm really trying to tell people to get out of this validation mindset. Because who are you actually, asking validation from? Like, who are the people that want to see your stuff as well? Who do you want to see your stuff? And it's kind of like, at the end of the day, we don't know these people. We don't know who they are.
And again, with wisdom, right? When you have something bigger than you, you don't care about. The reason I grow is because I talk about things other people want to tiptoe around. I just cut to the point and I say it. And I'm okay to be the villain.
Yeah.
I'm not looking for validation. And do you know why? When you get to a point in your life, and this can happen, and again, a blessing of having my son early, is that so for example, if I was to sit there worrying, which many people do, thinking, I really want to put that out, but I don't want the judgment. I don't want people going, you can't say that. But when you have then something so much bigger, a reason why, like my son, I won't tell you the full story, but once upon a time, me and my son were hiking and he had these lumps on his neck. Cut long story short, I thought tumour, cancer, I didn't know. But I felt so sick. And in that moment, my world, I didn't care about anyone.
It didn't matter.
Nothing mattered. The money, I'd have emptied every bank account Because the one thing that matters to me in life, that the one sole reason I am here on this earth is to guide this young man. I didn't care about anything.
Yeah.
I don't care about who didn't like my post. I don't care who's saying what. It means nothing. And that's ultimate wisdom.
100%. Yeah.
That's when you win in life.
I think in many ways, what you're saying as well, for me, relates massively because I've got such a good family unit around me that I feel like I'm able to do it because I'm comfortable with who I am. I think that's so important. You know, when you feel isolated, when you feel alone, what is the route to get out of that? Is it purely finding people that you can lean on?
Yeah, it's like a dopamine kick.
Yeah.
When you have, do you know, I'll mention his first name. I'll say his full name. Michael Howard is a very good friend of mine, right? His business has done very well. He owns Manners Interiors in London, near the Shard. And I was really struggling with business one year. I think it was 2022, I believe. And I just sort of lost my way. I lost loads of clients. And the whole... you know, this cost of living was scaring investors and all this kind of stuff. And I lost a lot of clients. I lost a lot of money that year. And I just didn't know who to turn to. And I rang him and he's a busy guy. He's got over 300 staff. And he said, ring me, like instantly. And then he said, come up to London. And he just took time out just to talk with me and put me back on track and just to say, this is a part of it.
Yeah.
This is moulding you. Everything has moulds you. And it's all a part of the journey. Again, failure, hiccups, things going wrong. Great. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
You know, Monday, we're meant to be piloting in Islington for Hold Up.
Right.
I just, in my gut, I just said to Ben, we got to go to our pilot in Brighton.
Yeah.
It's not, something is
Doesn't
not right.
feel right. Yeah.
Just know it's not right. And it's a great decision. And I just feel so much better about it.
100%. I mean, back to your point with the learning the lesson, I always say, like, even God, how he shows love is a very disciplinary love. It's like you fall off the bike, puts you back on the bike, and you keep on going until you can ride the bike again, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's all life really is. You know, you go through a hard time, you learn from it, you keep on going. And you learn that at different stages of life. Some people learn it early, some people learn it late. But I do think it's back to that rejection thing again, right? When you overcome hard moments and you get into the mindset of, right, today is going to be difficult, right? There's no day that's going to be easy, but I'm prepared for it and I'm going to leap into it. That's when you start building up that confidence. And I don't believe confidence, I think confidence comes from not shouting affirmations in the mirror, but just basically keeping promises to yourself on who you are every day. You know, I've got a checklist of tasks to get done. I'm going to tick them off. And at the end of the day, I'm going to look at myself and say, I'm proud of what I've achieved today. And then you can move forward from that. Right. On a different note, I want to ask you this question because I've seen you mention it before. Do you think modern culture subtly encourages people to over-identify with diagnoses like ADHD? Could that reduce the incentive to challenge behaviours that hold them back?
Yeah, I can't stand all this.
Yeah.
I won't swear, to keep the algorithm, I'm very good at that. I effing hate it. I cannot stand this. I could really go into this.
Yeah.
Everyone wants a title.
Yeah.
Everyone is looking for a diagnosis. I knew someone recently who goes to the same cafe that I do, that I sometimes work at. And they went to get self-diagnosed of ADHD and then said to me, this explains why I just can't concentrate at work. Yeah. No, why did you need that? Like, what? So I wanted to say, I didn't say this because it was a very brief. Okay, what's it done for your life? Yeah. I get told I've got ADHD. Okay, whatever, move on with your life. Out my way.
No one cares.
Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, why do you care? Like, this is, yes, we are, look, you can identify as a wolf for crying out loud. This is mad. It's gone mad. And I hope we don't go to war.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's very true. I think if we did go to war, we'd kill ourselves through willful ignorance anyway, because they're the sort of beings we are. Yeah. But I think it's really interesting, actually, because, you know, somebody who's in Gen Z, you see it all the time, like, I identify with the ADHD and blah, 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 blah. And I always say to myself, like, yeah, I got told I had dyslexia when I was younger. That didn't stop me. You know, my teacher's probably thinking right now, he's gone and done a podcast with Knightley, that's fantastic. I would never have guessed that. I would never have seen that for him, because I was never somebody that was considered to talk well, read well, be educated well. But I've done all right.
Let me tell you this, right? One thing that gets on my gripe is everyone has a very generic story. So I can't stand it now when you hear people teeing themselves up with, well, I've got ADHD, I've had this, I've had that, blah, blah, blah. And what it is it's always offsetting why someone might not do very well or why they can't do that. And again, the psychology of humans, especially here in the UK, is everyone else's fault. And as humans, we really lack accountability.
100%.
No one wants to own the good, the bad. Well, they want the good, but they don't want the bad and the ugly because it's everyone else's fault. And one thing that I feel when you become content and you're happy in yourself, but it's because you have values and you have respect for yourself and you have boundaries. But accountability. If you own everything, even if you go through a divorce or something went wrong, again, life is always teaching you lessons. If you just say, it was all my fault.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like a sense of relief because you can move on and you grow with that maturity of going, it was on me.
Yeah.
And people go, you really think so? Yeah. Yeah, that was on me. And I think for me personally, I look back, I've made a lot of mistakes and I own all of them. I've never passed the buck. And I think that's what's added to my character.
Yeah. I think the thing is with accountability as well, you're just taking full ownership of everything, no matter what happens. Even if it's something really silly, you just go, right. I see guys do this in relationships as well. You know, they may go through a divorce. I'm currently working with a creator and we do a men's health improvement community. And we keep on telling the guys in there, take full responsibility, self-analyze, look where it went wrong, and now you can improve and be better, right? And I do agree with you. I do think it's back to that point again of, you know, it's this culture in the UK we've created.
Do you know one thing for your generation, like guys of your age, is one thing I wish we would steer away from is... I've been asked the questions, Aaron, how do you become an iconic man? You don't. It's made up. Get over it. There's no such thing as an iconic man. Aaron, how do you become an alpha man? Shut up.
Yeah.
Leave now before I make you and throw you out the window. There's no... behind every great man is a fantastic, strong woman.
Yeah.
Believe that.
100%.
That is it. Period.
I agree.
Whether it's your partner, your mum, or someone, there is a woman behind a man being great.
Yeah.
Show some respect for that. Because when I hear these young lads... And like, I go to a gym now where all of a sudden there is just this testosterone everywhere in groups. I love it. I love guys getting in the gym early and stuff like this. But we really need to be careful on passing on this. I mean, I can't remember who this guy was, but he said to me, what do you think an iconic man is?
Wild. I've never heard that before. To be fair.
It's just nonsense. Honestly, I just think... Do you want to know what a man is? Bring up a child, hold down a family, build something great, and then provide and be selfless.
Yeah.
And then you're half on your way.
I'm super glad you said that because I completely agree. I do think we've lost that. And I think, you know, as human beings, we seem to corrupt everything. I mean, even if you look at gunpowder, right? That was meant for fireworks, and then we turned it into weapons, right? Guns. Started killing each other, bombing each other. I think even if you look at the red pill movement now with men, you know, you can take anything to an extreme. There you go, I've hit the mic. Anything to an extreme. And I think right now we have taken it to an extreme. And I think living in it and seeing it for what it is, I can get why there are certain perspectives that are being spoken about. I understand it. But I think at the end of the day, you have to see it for what it is. The PSYOP and the system and the government and the elitists who are running the government, what they want to do is split up the family unit as much as possible, right? Because if they can do that, then they've got control. I think with women and men, we work simpatico with each other. When we are together and we are a unit, you know, things start to thrive, things make sense, and life can continue, right? So I do think we've lost that quite a lot.
Manipulation is key to control.
Yeah, 100%.
In the workplace, in personal life, in cliques, there's always a leader. And manipulation is what keeps a leader strong.
Yeah.
And this is why I teach the teachings that I do. Silence is power. Mystery is power.
Yeah.
Because if no one knows anything about you, if they don't know, they can't destroy. And And yes, when people start coming together and start working together, that needs to be broken down because we can't have that. And that's in every element of society. And again, this is all maturity. This is all wisdom of realizing there is a bigger picture for absolutely everything. Social media. Why is everyone tired? Because 98% of people who use social media are consumers. It makes them tired. What they're fed, on their algorithm. I mean, it's all really interesting, but there is this other element that we can really use this to advantage. It can make a lot of money, can really grow personally, can build great relationships. Opportunity's never been greater. But yes, their manipulation is at the heart of everything. And there are a lot of people that are sitting on this and are asleep.
100%.
A lot.
Back to the consuming, producing thing. What advice would you give to somebody who's listening on getting out of that mindset of not wanting to produce or not seeing it to be necessary for their life?
You have to remove titles from everything. Social media, we need to stop using that word. Influencer, we need to stop using that word. It's information media and it's leverage.
Yeah.
Just like business, when people say, I couldn't start a business, it's because they associate the word business with a limited company, sole trader, staff, overheads. So we need to remove titles. Again, simplify it. So social media, you need to realise what damage it's doing. Average consumption, 4 hours a day for the average person. Over the year, that's 1,098 hours. That's 42 days a year. That's minimum. So someone will start consuming at night, laying in bed from, say, 9:30 or 10 until 12, 1 in the morning. Yeah. Most people do. So you're losing time. And when you become conscious and you become more mature and you grow up and you have perspective of life, time is, it's, again, not about how much money I make, how much time I have. Where can I go? What mountains can I climb? What oceans can I swim in? So time is of the essence, right? So when you realize that with social media and you rewire your outlook on it and you realize actually this is a cash cow, you just have to not be afraid of haters' judgment, because the problem is what puts a lot of people off is when you do start making noise, people will go, you can't say that. You can't do that. And then there'll be a Reddit forum about you, and then people, and that puts people off.
Yeah.
But we've got too much opportunity not to do it. Like, don't leave stuff on the table.
I think us humans, like, because we want to fit into a community and a tribe, we are really scared at people pointing the finger at each other saying, you can't do that, and you've got to fit in, and you've got to stay like this and stay in your box. But back to the point that we made earlier on about not staying in your box and leaning on, like you said, your child, right? You feel comfortable because that's all that matters to you. Anything else is just noise, right? Yeah. But it's very interesting. And I do think right now we're in a time where there is so much leverage out there. And it starts with a personal brand. Yeah. I always work with people that have a personal brand because I know that they're confident in their own skin. And they're the sort of people I want to be around.
Yeah.
Right?
Personal brand is a word that's overused. But I can tell you firsthand that what I've done in the last 2.5 years, personal branding has made me a lot of money. Yeah. And it continues to make me a lot of money. As I sit here talking to you, it makes me a lot of money. Yeah. It is the creme de la creme. But there's two words that I'm going to use on how you leverage social media, aka information media, is commercializing and positioning yourself. Yeah. You position yourself as an authority figure by talking about things that you're, authentic in and that you have passion and experience and you really want to share a message to solve people's problems. And then actually commercializing that message, aka, positioning for brands, collaborations, building a business, converting your viewers into paying customers. I mean, there are a million ways to make money. You can make money by doing anything if you know how to put your stamp on it. Yeah. And it's not about having money. It's not being backed by a rich family. It really isn't, because I'm living proof of that, as many other people. It's about creative marketing. Marketing is everything. And I'll just give your audience a real quick example. I started this tech company. I founded it, actually, the concept in 2019, but we officially started last year. I don't know anything about tech. Right. But here's the thing. I'm really creative with marketing and leveraging my network.
Understand, yeah.
So without marketing, people aren't buying logos. Like, if I didn't market this, you wouldn't have a clue what it is.
No.
But I'm so good at marketing now. I know how to get it out there. Simon Squibb's a very good friend of mine. Look what he's done.
Love Simon
Marketing. Yeah, I've been there from the beginning of when no one knew Simon, back in 2016. Marketing is everything, and marketing is social media.
100%.
That's what it is. It's not ads. It's not Google. It can be. It's social media, predominantly Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And if you're not using those to position yourself and commercialize, the amount of money that you're leaving on the table is insane. And anyone could, in brackets, replace their job.
Yeah. 100%. I think it's interesting for me because when I got into online business, I was so focused on making the money. And one of my early business partners came to me and said, you know what, we need to ignore that and we need to find the attention, right? And we got success very early with what I do is called growth operating. So we partnered with Eddie Hall straight away. And that was an amazing experience for me. And then shortly after that, about 3 weeks after, we partnered with Tom Aspinall, the UFC heavyweight champ. Yeah. And we walked into his gym and it was such an eye-opening moment for me because it was the first moment where I think we're always catching up with this idea of seeing somebody and putting them on a pedestal, right?
Yeah.
And I found myself in that moment realizing I can now humanize people and be in the same room as these people, right? And I never would have thought at that moment that I could do that. How important do you think that is to humanize people, and where do we get it wrong?
So important.
Yeah.
Like, I'm no one's fanboy. I've never been. I've met a lot of famous people, and not one of them did I fanboy, because everyone's a human.
Yeah.
And what I do like about what's happening now in the world is that with files and everything that's coming to light and independent reporting, people are being brought down off their pedestal.
100%, yeah.
And we are, even like with the monarchy, I'm not massive on the monarchy. Still fascinates me now, really, when, if all truths was to come out, it's probably got a very dark history and still has a dark history. But yet millions of people, especially the boomers, have put the monarchy on a pedestal for so long. Whereas actually I think there's a lot of darkness to that and things that the public actually wouldn't really be happy about. So we just need to bring people, and that's why a personal brand is great, because you can see what someone is truly like. And I believe you have to live as if you're on camera 24/7.
Yeah.
Because then you are going to be authentic. I think the best thing for everyone to be is just Marmite.
Yeah.
And just be okay with some people not liking you and liking you, and stop trying to put on this persona, because, if you are going to be a creator, one of my biggest tips is, if you want longevity in this game, don't try and be someone you're not, because burnout will kick you in the bum and probably mental health issues will catch up with you.
100%. I believe personality has a lot to do with how successful you're going to be in whatever model you've chosen, right? So I've dived into trading and it didn't really align with me and my personality and who I was. With what you do right now, how do you think your personality aligns with Holder, for example? Maybe tell the audience a bit about what it is and how you've kind of adapted your personality around that.
Well, I think probably one of the best examples is, when I had been out of job for many years, I decided to basically build an education business, like a coaching business, right? And the reason that has done very well over the last 2.5 years, and I've got many, many case studies now, and I've helped many people get out of their jobs, is because my personality is to remind people it's possible. I'm never teaching people to make £10,000 a month.
Yeah.
I have clients, mentees that do earn more than that. But that was never the initial goal. It was just to replace the salary, manage your money, rewire, live on less, understand what's really important in life, and then just get off the hamster wheel
100%.
and create sustainability. So by me giving a very real approach with a real timeline that is not fabricated, without insane goals of this socially driven £10,000 a month, people really lent into me, because they're like, I don't need £10,000. I literally just need £1,952, £1,952. And then I've literally replaced my job.
Yeah.
And by just being very approachable and methodical and just a down to earth,
colloquial
guy,
person.
I'm just a normal guy. that has been there as well, people lean into that. And so that's done incredibly well for me. And then with Holder, I've been able to get such fast trajectory because, again, I built a great network just being me. And my marketing ability, again, just being very authentic. I'm not pulling the wool over anyone's eyes. Therefore, people are leaning into that. Like my YouTube, people lean into it because people go, oh, I'm so glad it's refreshing to not hear the BS.
Yeah.
He's not even, I don't even sell. You won't even find one video of me selling, but I sell all the time. You won't find one video.
No.
That's what people like.
Yeah, 100%. What do you think your core skill is with your social media presence?
I think because of consistent discipline, I show up every day. So I live up to the obligation that we've built. So as you're building an audience, it is your obligation to keep showing up.
100%.
That is something that I've done very well, is on the live streams, the posting, adding value, doing full course, deep dive tutorial videos with no charge, all for free. I give 90% away for free, and there's a subtle, discreet 10% ask, whatever that might be at the time. So I just think showing up every day and building such fast trust shows that I'm reliable.
100%. Yeah. Because you're there and I think it's interesting as well, because even with my creators that I work with at the minute, before somebody technically will even buy anything from you anyway, they need to build up that 7 hours of reciprocity to see your face over and over again. And I think some practical advice for the audience, if you keep on showing up and you keep on staying authentic, you will reap the rewards from it eventually.
Of course you will. And as the creator, you can never look at the likes.
No.
I think I need to remind people that likes don't pay the bills.
No.
Brands, I've worked with big banks, I've worked with big companies, Adobe, ICAU, accountancy firms, law firms. I've worked with big firms. I had another, it's a regular now called Grapple Law, give him a shout out, is that he messaged me, the owner, and Alex Monaco of Alex Monaco Solicitors, and literally just got a voice note. He said, same deal as before. They paid me a huge amount of money to do one video that did very well. That's where we're at now. So it's not because I convert. Because if I endorse something and I back it, it's because I really mean it and I believe in it. And that stands for something. So I have an audience, which again, anyone listening, you have to build engagement. Attention is the biggest asset. But if you can't convert that, you can't make sales, you couldn't build a business, and you don't understand who your market is. You have to get people in the comments, which is the comments, again, reframing. It's a data form. You need to look at it. Why did I build the Breakout Program and the TikTok Growth Program? Because I was getting hundreds a day of going, how do I do this? How do I do this? How do I do this?
It's instant feedback,
It's instant feedback. So the indicators were there. So if you're only getting likes, you're going to remain in a job. I
always say all the time with my creators is the quality of the views. So if the ICP is in there, and do you know what, recently, especially this year, I made a promise to myself that I wouldn't work with any influencers below the age of 25, because I think as human beings, in general, we attract kind of our age demographic anyway. And one of my creators at the minute, I think he's 52 now, and all our audience, they're all going through the same problems, but the ICP has more buying behavior. And I think that's also really important, something to consider as well. And that doesn't mean don't make content if you're young, but what it does mean is maybe tailor it in a way where you can gain that audience.
This is the danger of live streaming. Now, live streaming is the future, and I do a lot of live streams. But it's so addictive, especially for women, of dopamine hits, of compliments. Now, the problem is if you had the intent of thinking, right, I'm going to build a brand and I'm going to build a business to sell a service or a product, but now I'm getting a lot of compliments telling me I look good. And that's now playing on the whole dopamine, and now, I'm validating myself. And actually, should I be a model? And you get, even for men, and then they kind of get distracted and thinking, well, maybe there's more to me, maybe I'm a bit sassy and I've got a bit more about me. And that leads them off the wrong path of staying on becoming an information creator where 100%. There's big money. And again, I use the word sustainability because you don't want it to be a one-hit wonder. But that's the danger of of social media as well is how, let's call it, there's a lot of pervy men out there.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of women that really want that attention, and that's dangerous. And I feel very sorry for new relationships that are going to be formed in this day and age. I don't even know how people are. I think that's a real shame, because women are. I spoke with a lady the other day who was at my gym, and she's struggling with money, and she's actually considering starting. And I just said, don't do it.
No.
I said,
It's a cop out.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, everyone else is doing it. I was like, don't do it. There's too many ways to make money.
It is such a shame, and I do think it is back to that attention thing, because I think in many ways, you know, women see this attention and think, oh wow, this is so amazing, like I'm kind of freed in a way, and now I'm validated by the world, I must be attractive, I must be doing something okay. But you know, it's back to that thing again, you don't know who it's coming from. Is it a good quality of person that it's coming from? And does it actually result in any real world value in many ways? I don't believe so. This
is where we need boundaries. And you need to know your values, and you need to live up to your values. You need to say no. You know, I take my parents away every year at Christmas with my entire family, right? And we sat around the table, and I said to my mum and dad again, I said, go back to when you're younger. What would you do differently? And again, my mum said, I'd just said no more. I just was a people pleaser too much my entire life. And I say no all the time, and I love it. And sometimes people think, oh, God, but he's fun at a party. I don't know. I don't go to many, to be honest with you.
But also, when you do turn up to the party, you are more respected because you're capable of saying no. I mean, I think there's a famous story. I can't remember who his name is. But he said, when I turned up to the theatre once a month, everybody's eyes were on me. They respected me more. And I do sometimes, like for me, I'm very good at saying no. And even at family parties, people are like, Marty's here. Nice to see you. And they want to get to know me. The attention gravitates towards me. So I think no is self-respect as well. It's to say, no, I'm not going to put up with that. That goes against my morals.
Yeah. I even decided last year that where people wanted a lot of my time and energy, I turned my WhatsApp profile just black.
Really?
Yeah, and I didn't reply to people when I would take 3-4 days, and I've kept that up. And now when I started this whole process a while ago, when people would say to me, Aaron, I hope you don't mind. I don't want to take up too much of your time. And I really built that and designed that. So now when people who are on kind of the outskirts of my network, they will always say, I hope you don't mind, or I don't want to take up too much of your time. And I like that level of respect, because it does show respect that the value here is time.
Sometimes I even get a little bit offended if people call me too much during my day. I sort of think to myself, like, I don't mind you calling me if you're in my close network, but if you're not, like, you know, I'm kind of busy right now. Like, I need to concentrate.
Yeah, again, time.
Yeah.
You know, time, we don't have unlimited amounts, and I'm just really hot on that.
100%. So I want to dive into a bit of psychology again, right? Now, I think there's this big thing that you have to kind of overcome when you're becoming an entrepreneur of outside noise, right? But I want to specifically talk about outside noise from your parents, right? Did you have any of that?
No, I was really blessed. My parents have just supported me through whatever.
Yeah.
They didn't even know what I was doing at times. They didn't understand it. But I've had just rock solid parents. Parents that have just backed me when I've made mistakes, you know, just unconditional love. And that's just been so important, because one thing I do feel very sorry for people, and I've had many of them. I've got one young guy who's in my Breakout Program at the moment, and he's going to do great, but his parents just think it's a load of baloney. They just say to him all the time, you need to stay in a job. Stop thinking that you're going to do this and do that. And I want to shake him, because I'd be like, how dare you? You know, like, you should really be sparking a fire and keeping that, you know, alive and pushing them. And as a father myself, you know, like my son, I push him to do everything. He's involved in so much of what I do. And, you know, he's 12 and he's just going to have such a great, successful career. So it really does bug me when parents, but no, for me personally, I had all the support in the world, and although they couldn't support me financially, you know, I always joke and say that I heard this, that I am a trust fund baby.
Right.
My parents trusted me to fund myself, and that was it. Like
I love that.
So, and I ended up doing
great.
that.
That's really good. I think I'm very fortunate in a way because my dad's very entrepreneurial. My mum's very competitive. That's why I've got a bit of both. But my mum and dad did exactly what you just described. I went to everything. Tennis, football, I did the lot. And they made me do it because it just taught me so many different lessons, different skill sets. But also now I have the freedom to pick and choose what I want. Like if you was to ask me when I was 14 years old, playing for Norwich City, would I be on a podcast right now at 23? I'd have said, you're joking.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even have considered it.
Yeah.
But here I am, and it's brilliant. I love to do this.
Yeah.
So I think it's amazing that you're doing that, and I think it's so important just to dive into everything, no matter what it is. Even if it's cringy, just do it.
Do you know what's really weird? I get asked to speak at a lot of schools.
Yeah.
And I've spoken at a few global academies, which are like universities around London.
Right.
I find it bizarre because I'm talking to university students and, kids at school who are in the system, and I talk in front of teachers as well, basically telling them to not follow the system.
And it's standing and nodding.
It's really weird. Like
I bet.
they're inviting someone to basically contradict
Everything that they're teaching.
everything that this whole
Wild.
thing. And I do remember speaking at it was in West London at this global academy, and I remember just quickly glancing at one of the teachers, and I could just tell he was thinking, why have we got this guy on stage? Like he's literally teaching people to become entrepreneurial and make their own money. Yet we've just done a class about you must learn. I find
Why
it weird.
isn't your
But I
time?
still get the invites.
Yeah, that's wild.
But would I, just like you, would I have thought that I'd be doing what I do now? Not in a million years. Look, I'm in a position right now that even today on the way up here on the train, I'm not even budging on a fee that eToro is a brand I'm working with at the moment. I'm just not even budging on my fee, and they're just going up and up on the offers, and I just don't budge. And would I have thought that I'm negotiating fees that is almost like 6 months' salary of my last job, and it's great. So it's amazing. That's the power of personal branding and content.
100%. Do you know what? I want to go back into that indoctrination thing a little bit, since you mentioned school again. I think what's really interesting is it's not even like the programming and like when the bell rings and your suit has to be on and all this stuff. I actually think the system's biggest weapon is the time. I think the time is unnecessary and it makes no sense to me. I think by the time you go to uni, whoever decides to go to uni and then travels after, I think to myself, what are you doing? Like, you're just wasting so much time. I think you get to a point as well, especially after secondary school. I didn't do college, and I'm so glad I didn't, because I've kind of stopped 6 years of waste out of my life.
Yeah. So, interesting. The time thing is what I'm really hot on. Being at school for 6 hours is long enough.
Yeah.
And I talk about this as a parent, that I don't think it's okay that we send our kids off 5 days a week for 6 hours a day to be brought up by someone else. You only get about I think you only get about 690 weeks of your children until they're about 12, 13, which is where they really start changing.
Right.
So there's not many weeks, and most of those are at school for 6 hours a day. It just doesn't sit well with me. No. And when you do start working for yourself, as you said at the beginning, you do realise that I can make more moves, move that progression needle in 1-2 hours of really hyper-focused work than I was ever making a 10-hour shift. I used to work a 10-hour shift, and that was one thing that really played on me was I'm sitting here. It was a means to an end, and I was still building up. I did a video on my YouTube where I was very sneaky. Like I took advantage. My employer paid for me to build a business, but not many people do that. They wait till their time off. But there is such an unfair exchange of time throughout school, which is why our son has never done a detention. Our son has never done one bit of homework, ever.
Brilliant. I love that.
Because as soon as that bell goes, it's game over.
It's game over.
Done.
You've done. Yeah,
done.
You've done. I completely agree with that.
And I've got to be honest with you, he's pretty homeschooled now, rarely goes to school. I've paid a lot of fees when we go on a lot of holidays. Fine with that. The time I'm not okay with, because when you become conscious of time, you realise you don't need to be doing things for 6 8, 10 hours. It's unnecessary.
Yeah, yeah. I think for me as well, because I was always, like we said before, even at the bottom, I could see the school system for what it is. And I had somebody ask me this the other day. They said, really, you understood it from such a young age? I was like, completely understood it, 100%. I knew that it was all just complete bollocks from minute one. As soon as I got there, because I've got dyslexia anyway, I was looking at it thinking, this is just not for me. Like, I just don't want to do this at all. And I'd always stare out the window, and I remember like they'd label me like I just wanted attention and like I'd misbehave. And it's because I didn't understand a fucking thing. I didn't get any of it.
Yeah.
But yet I've done all right at business. So the actual skills you learn doesn't correlate to any real world skills anyway. So it's just pointless.
Let me tell everyone out there.
Yeah.
School is a total waste of time. College is a total waste of time. University is a total waste of time. As soon as you leave secondary school, build a business and go hard from 18 to 25, you become incredibly wealthy if you nail it.
Yeah.
And you'll never have to work within the system again.
No.
Period. Done. You don't need to question me. You don't need to even counter that.
Just go and do it.
That is facts. It is a total and utter waste of time.
Yeah.
When you have a business teacher in university teaching you about business that doesn't have a business, a light bulb needs to go off going, yeah, something ain't right here.
Yeah, something's not right.
Something's not right. I better check this out and do my own due diligence.
100%.
Sir, I'm off.
Yeah, I'm out. There's a brilliant story of a guy who was playing a poker game, and I think he won like hundreds of thousands of pounds, right? And he stood up, looked at his professor dead in the eye, go, I made more money in 1 hour than you did in a whole year. I'm out. See you later. And that's what he went and did.
But you know what? Again, going back to the money, it's about freedom. I did a video recently on and I specifically done it at 9:30. Right. I took my DJI Osmo and I went up into the country, and I just did a vlog video, and I started it off going, check this out. This is what quiet quitting got me. 9:30, while people are out on the roads, dangerously driving, tucking in to their cup of coffee while they settle down at the office. I'm out here in the fresh air, absorbing the birds, you know, the singing of the birds, and walking out here and really just thinking about life and avoiding the noise. Because one thing that scares the living daylights out of me is the dangerous driving.
Yeah.
There are more cars on the road now. And again, when you look at the system, they're like this. They've got their phone on the thing. I've got to get to work.
Distractions.
I've got to get to work. They're running lights, and I've got to get to work because if I don't, my manager's going to tell me off, and then my job might be at risk because everyone's against each other. And I just when you sit back and go, this is mad.
It's madness.
This is mad. When you leave the system, the 9 to 5, and you take a step back and you look at the roads, you look at the trains, you look at the tube, and you look at the craziness and how dependent and survival mode that people are in, it scares the living daylights out of me. It's so scary.
It is
the
scary.
rat race is real.
Yeah.
And the Matrix film was ahead of its time.
What do you think about that film?
I think they were always dangling a carrot. Look at The Simpsons.
Yeah.
He's like, why should we cure cancer when we can keep getting people paying for medicine until they die?
Yeah.
We could cure cancer, but then we've got no income.
We've got no income.
I never donate
Yeah.
to cancer research.
No, 100. Well, the thing is, like,
I don't do it.
The companies are there. I mean, like, the whole thing of.
It's a natural cull.
I'm assuming you're unvaccinated.
It's a natural cull. I am unvaccinated.
So am I.
Yeah.
But I think what that is, even my dad, like, he was amazing at spotting the
Let me just
pads.
jump. Sorry. Let me
go.
just jump in.
Yeah.
COVID started by a bat. A bat.
I know. It's wild, isn't it? Yeah. It is wild. I mean, yeah. Even if you look at, like, imagine history lessons in 100 years from now, right? They probably look back and go, so they actually drove the cars on the roads?
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
Why did they do that? It's so dangerous.
Do you know what's funny? People that have their head. This is, again, human psychology and the way that humans work. The CEO of Uber has publicly announced 7.9 million Uber drivers will be losing their jobs.
Wild.
But you've still got Uber drivers.
I didn't know that.
They're like, it's not going to happen to me.
Yeah.
And carry on with their mosey little life, not doing anything about it. And again, big old wave, big tsunami's heading towards, and you're tapping the guy who's got his head on the sand. Dude, I'd grab a surfboard, No, I'll be all right as long as I
Yeah.
keep my head in the sand. It won't hit me. Okay, whatever. I'm getting on mine.
There's a famous
mad.
story in the Bible of the flood was coming, and a man prayed to God, said, "Please protect me from the flood. Please protect me." And God said, "No problem, right? I'm going to send you a boat." He said, "No, I'll wait. And he goes, No, you have to get on the boat, right?"
Yeah.
And then
Oh, yeah.
gets on the boat, helicopter comes past, he said, "Right, there's the ladder, jump on the ladder." He goes, No, I'll wait.
God's
And
going to save me, yeah.
Yeah, God's going to save me. He goes, dies, speaks to God on his deathbed and goes, "Well, why didn't you save me? You said I prayed. You said you were going to save." He goes, "I sent you a boat. I sent you a ladder. I sent you all this stuff. Why didn't you jump on it?"
Yeah.
Right. So I do believe that there are very, say, special people out there that can spot it.
Yeah.
Right. And you're obviously one of these people, right? I think I am one of these people as well, where I can see what's going on ahead of time. What would you say your process is of pattern recognition? How do you determine that?
Independent thinking.
Yeah.
If you say something to me and you're like, "Oh my God, Aaron, guess what? I won't act upon it. I'll listen. And if I think it's something that I need to know about, I'll go and do my own due diligence.
Yeah.
And then I'll take your A and I'll look at B and then I'll find my opinion in the middle." I had to do a video recently about Restore Britain.
Right.
I said to my partner, I was like, on my Aaron Knightley Unfiltered, this is why now? Why now? Has a certain country beginning with Q just paid this leader to just suddenly oppose it, to strip votes? So I had to do a video just to question, to say, everyone, and it did over 100,000 views, just pause. You have to ask questions.
Yeah.
Look, what Rupert is saying, great. I love it. I'm all for Britain and getting back, to Great Britain and bringing back the United Kingdom. I'm all for it. But we have to ask questions. Why now?
Yeah, 100%.
And why?
It's the curiosity and the question of why. I mean, I even think for me, with COVID, I think it was all emotional arguments. I think it was to get people to be reactive. And I think when you are reactive, you now have no right to make a logical decision. Whether you need to step back and be logical and relax and see it for what it is.
Okay, it goes so deep with this. Haters online, reactive. It's vinegar on a wound. I have never left a negative comment on my own to someone randomly.
I've never.
I already know you haven't.
Yeah.
Because that means you're reactive. You're triggered easily. Again, if I sit here and call you fat, you're fat. Marty, you're fat. How do you feel about that?
Well, nothing.
Because you're not fat.
No.
But if you were fat, it might trigger you. And you might be a bit
Or it could
reactive.
galvanise you into doing something, depending on how you take it.
Yeah. But when you react, I now control you.
Yeah.
I can now manipulate you.
100%.
Because you have now revealed what triggers your buttons. And again, that is what haters and trolls do, is that they're very reactive. They are heated. They are, and they show that. And that shows, I sometimes fire them up. And I go, what a low IQ and an emotional individual. Because it shows a lack of control. And in the workplace, just tying this in, one thing I was very good at was self-mastery. I was always, no one knew how to act with me because I didn't reveal anything. No one knew anything about my private life, so they couldn't leverage. They couldn't manipulate me. They didn't know about my finances. They couldn't use that against me. Silence was my power. I didn't always speak up in meetings. Therefore, it was that they felt uneasy because pausing. Have you got anything to say in a meeting? Aaron, anything to say? No, I'm fine, thanks. And then it'd be like, oh, what was he going to say? I don't know. Read the room, listen to the room, and then analyse and think, I don't need to say anything. I don't need to say anything. So, and again, that's where you hold true power, is 100%. Not being reactive. And if you're building a business, you can't be reactive.
No.
If someone annoys you or a client winds you up, you have to, I'll deal with it in the morning.
I think us humans, we're not really truth-seeking animals. I think in many ways, if you're part of a tribe years ago, if you just went along to get along, you could get along, right? But that doesn't mean you're living true to yourself. And I think in many ways, you don't get crowned the leader when you do that.
No.
I think a lot of guys as well, they're looking for respect, but they're looking for respect in the wrong areas. What sort of, with that kind of outlook on things, what sort of areas do you think men look for respect in now that they shouldn't do?
Well, it really depends on what age group, who you're asking, what their peers are like, who they're surrounded with, their values, what they've built. I think the problem with a lot of young guys now is they think self-respect is, or respect from others is making a lot of money, driving a nice car, wearing good clobber, being in the best shape, getting all the girls, racking up the numbers, and they'll learn that's far from it. And actually, that's a very quick way to live a lonely life because you can look at all this online where there's been pastors, however you say it, that have sat with many people that have passed away, and all of them talk about, I wish I'd have been a better dad, I wish I'd have been a better mother. None of them asked for the Aston Martin, none of them asked for their Rolex collection. They're very self-reflective about really were they true and were they a good person those last few minutes that they've got or whatever. And I think the problem is that a lot of guys, depending on the groups they fall into, is, gotta get jacked. A lot of guys are on steroids very early now, and not even building a natural physique. Like I was high level football, high level boxing. I was in great physical condition naturally, and never really needed to enhance it because diet's always been on point, discipline, fluids. So whereas now it's jumping straight to the how can I be masculine, how can I make money, and that's really not. When I go to the gym, I don't talk to anyone in the gym. I keep my head down, my hood up, I wear joggers. I'll only take this off if I'm absolutely sweating, and when I take it off, I can see the guys going, well, I wasn't expecting that physique. Because I like to keep it's about privacy. What I said to you about before I come on here, I don't mention certain names and privacy. That holds weight.
I think it's interesting because I think us humans, we don't really learn our lesson until we kind of wrap our car around a tree, right? Because we're going too quick. And for me, one thing I've really learned and tried to take into consideration, you'll see these TikTok videos all the time of people going up to an older person on the street and saying, what would you do differently, right? I don't overlook that information. And I've seen even Gary Vee talk about this and go into an old people's home, wash the dishes, but go and talk to them. Not only will they appreciate it because they're lonely, but also at the same time, you might learn something. And for me, I've been very lucky because I've had a lot of different mentors. I've invested in mentors with my entrepreneur journey. When you were coming up, did you have a mentor?
No, I didn't. I was very self-taught. I didn't have the money.
Right.
Truth be told, I didn't have a pot. I really didn't. You can click on a highlight reel on my Instagram, or you can, go find, see what I looked like. I was a skinhead, used to hang around in wrong crowds. Totally different. I never had a mentor. I was self-taught, but I have, I've always enjoyed being around older people. I really have. And I've learnt from history. There's a book you should listen to or read, I Know What to Do, So Why Don't I Do It, by Dr. Nick Hall.
Okay.
It's one of the best books, and it's so self-explanatory. I use an example, bless the audience if they follow around the podcast, because I've used this one because it's the best case study, and there's many. I'm very much like you, and I love talking about this, why don't we learn from history and then make good decisions? Because life is a sequence of decisions, where you've been, where you are now, and where you're going. And again, go back to accountability. But when you go on holiday, right? When I go on summer holidays, there will always be an overweight British family.
100%.
The guy's bald, the woman looks like a fisherman's wife, and the kids are running around, and they're all burnt to a crisp.
It's very true.
And they do that year after year. And then one day, they're diagnosed with skin cancer. And then they wish they could go back and put sun cream on. My answer is, tough, own it, suck it up. You got skin cancer, own it. And, well, you're being really, that's a bit harsh. Back off. I've had this in the comments before. Back off. They got skin cancer. Oh, God, who's this? No. You knew to put sun cream on.
And you didn't.
And you didn't. You chose not to. People who are overweight, in the doctor's room, unfortunately, you've got high cholesterol, blood pressure, a lot of strain on your heart. It's not looking good, and unfortunately you've got diabetes, type A or type C, you've got this and you've got this, and it's not looking good. And then they want to go back.
Yeah.
But you knew. You knew. I've got no money. Well, why were you in town spending it on drugs and shopping in JD and going down the pub when England were playing? And now you're complaining that you can't pay your gas and electric. You knew.
Yeah. It's back to
Own
that
it.
accountability thing as well, of just not
Accountability.
taking it. Yeah.
That's why there's no cost of living crisis. It doesn't exist. It's media driven. It's totally fabricated. If me and you walk on London streets right now, does there look like there's a cost of living crisis?
No.
Everyone's in the pub and it's during the day. Airports are rammed.
Yeah.
Heathrow's rammed.
Well, this is the even like back to during COVID. I always use it because everybody lived through it. Me and my dad, the first thing we did was drove down to the hospital and saw it was busy, and we drove back, and my dad like, looks fine to me. Let's just get on with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we all saw The Sun publish those
Yeah.
hospitals in Italy that no one could gain access to. And the two independent Chinese vloggers, well, they disappeared.
Yeah.
You know, again, did we land on the moon? Probably not.
I believe the actual moon landing, I think we got out of the atmosphere and then, as the Americans do, probably set up a studio, lay down a bit of gravel,
everything.
and everyone just
Oh, mate,
filmed
I
it.
could go into 9/11. I could talk about all of it. You know, you can probably gather my views.
Yeah.
All fabricated, and there's an agenda for everything. Just
100%.
finishing that, I did that video about we need to think about restore. And it just annoys me that all of these people are going, right, I've been following reform for however long. I'm going to restore. You sheep. Go on.
That was really good. By the
That
way.
was good. Yeah, I've done it a few times, actually.
I think life's a pendulum, though. I think everything comes back into fruition. Things will repeat itself, but you just need to see it for what it is and spot the patterns.
I'd love to be in a zombie apocalypse because I'd
With me?
survive. No, I'd just survive.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
You know, all those people. I always imagine this image of a zombie apocalypse. You know, something happens and there's all these people on the motorway and they just sit there, bunched up, waiting. You know, and they can see the horde coming towards them.
Yeah.
I'm the guy. I reverse back
You're
into
on
the
it,
car.
yeah.
I'm driving into the other one. I'm up on the ramp and I'm driving through
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm not waiting. I take action.
Yeah.
You know, I'll think about it. I'll make a plan. I'll act. Not
Yeah.
just sitting there like that,
Monging out.
monging out. And it's like London right now. You know, I'm going to see it on the way back to the train. But
Yeah.
consciousness.
Yeah, it's very true. Like, the action taking is so important. And I think if you don't take action right now, I actually think the problem is right now we are running out of time. I can see it firsthand. You know, I was on a call with somebody the other day who's 16 years old, running an AI agency, doing over 100K a month. 16. That shouldn't be possible, but it is.
It is, and that's what's scary. Like, I plan to. Well, the time length is about 5 years. I think I'll be out in about 3. I'll exit this for multi millions without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
All possible.
Is there any like conscious shift between, let's say, making 100K a month to owning a multi-million pound business? Do you think there's any sort of like shift in your mindset at all, or?
I think the work's the same. I think it's about, again, leverage. 2 things I believe in: output and leverage. If you build a great team, which I'm really passionate about, the workload becomes so much smoother. Getting in professionals, hungry people. I really researched what tech companies who got out on quick exits of high multipliers, and all of them have the common theme of they had a young, hungry team. Geeks in their fields, and that's basically what I'm really driven to build, and what we're building at the moment. You know, building those founding members that are specialists about what they do, and then all the subsidiaries underneath that. You know, everyone that falls under, again, are geeks and know what they're doing. So I think there's several elements. Is that processes, automation, and smart leverage. If you're in the tech and AI space, you don't need a big team.
No.
Workload is pretty much the same. Like going from, you know, once upon a time, I used to say to myself, I'd love to get to 3K on my own a month.
Yeah.
I did 3K. My expenses never went up. I'm very humble in earning 3K. And I was like, right, I've got to get to 5K. Got to 5K. And I was like, could I do this 10K? Getting to 10K a month, sustainability, consistency, not just one-offs, like, you know, constantly breaking that barrier of 10K. Could I do a 20K month? I've done 20K months. Could I do a 30, 40? I've done above 40 months. And, but humble with it, not losing your bite. You can keep that momentum going, and the workload doesn't become more because, again, you outsource. I'm very good at outsourcing. I put my money where my mouth is, and I reinvest a lot because I don't need to live on a lot of money. Again, humble in growth.
Yeah.
Don't flex. And so the workload never really became more as the pay packet went up, because we have automations, workflows, and freelance solopreneurs that we can bring in.
I think this cost of living crisis as well, like if you kind of tie it into, I think a big part of wealth building is money management in many ways.
It's everything.
Because like the thing is, your money's going up, but your lifestyle's going up as well. So if your lifestyle's increasing with it and you start to rent this and rent that and go on this.
Would you want to be an investment banker on $250,000 a year in central London?
No.
Neither would I.
No. It's the freedom for me is so important. You know, like the materialistic items, I'm very much like the same as you. I've kind of lived that through my dad a little bit this year. He's bought a lot of nice things and I've seen it for what it is, but he even tells me all the time, like, this won't make you happy, Marty. Like, go and do what you love. It's so important to do that. So I'm very fortunate. I've kind of experienced it. You know, I've had some nice holidays. I've seen what it's like, and it doesn't motivate me anymore. What motivates me the most is impact and meeting great people. Right? That's what I love to do.
It really is about experiences.
Yeah.
And feeling fulfilled after every day, thinking, I've moved my own contentment needle.
I'll sleep well tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's natural highs. That's really what it is. It's about staying in a constant flow of enjoying the process.
Yeah.
Think about the average person who wakes up and they're tired, caffeine, go to work, drained, more caffeine, tired, get home, relationship life, sex life is on the low, Netflix, sit down, burger, Five Guys. Wake up. There's no living.
No.
It's not living. It's not about the pay packet. But the problem is, as a society, I talk about this all the time on my YouTube, we are so caught up in flexing on a title. Hey, I'm Aaron Knightley, investment banker. Marty, good to meet you. What do you do? I run a podcast and I do my own agency and stuff like that. Mine sounds better. I just said, Marty, investment banker.
I wear a nice suit.
But you could say, but I'd spend my life doing what I love. But I'm an investment banker. Did you not hear, Marty? I don't care. Because the corporate chains, the golden handcuffs, the shinier cage, the puppet strings, very short and hyper competitive. So the title, unfortunately, going back to validation, giving a title is identity. Right, I'm general manager. Okay, update the LinkedIn. Tell everyone down the pub I'm general manager. No one cares.
No.
It's not going to be at your funeral. No one's standing up going, my dad was a great forklift driver at, warehouse number 2, and they don't care.
It's very true, isn't it? It's all going to go. It's all going to be left.
It is all going to go.
I think that's part of the confidence I have as well, is realising that this will all come to an end one day. And it's the impact I have on others. There's a famous quote from Shia LaBeouf that says, if I could offer up my suffering to other people, I feel like I'm going to live a fulfilled life. And he uses it like I was always grabbing. I was always trying to grab stuff from life, and it would always find a way to run away. And I actually find for me, I've been really blessed at a young age just to submit to the process, enjoy the learning process of step by step. And even with my entrepreneurial journey, like I haven't had things too early. Although I'm young and I'm making good money now, it did take me a good year and a half before I found any success with it. And that's humbled me quite a lot as well.
Do you know, we should always love ourselves first and be very selfish first, because by doing that, you have more to give to other people. You should always fill up your bucket first, and then everyone else gets overflow.
I completely agree with that. I
really believe in that, going to the gym is for me. If you're going to be happy in a relationship, you've got to do things that make you happy, because everyone gets overflow, right? It's very hard to give something when the cup's half full, or you feel, it's almost like I've got an empty cup now, and instead of me saying, well, what can I give you? I could top yours up, although I've got nothing. I'm looking at thinking how much you've got. So I think doing things that are selfless, like for many years, again, these are things that I don't document because I don't want to be that guy, but I'll mention it here, is that I go out with 2 other friends of mine. One was homeless for many years, and on Christmas Day we spent about 3 hours making packed lunches before I have it with my family, and we go out feeding the homeless.
Brilliant.
I don't document that.
No.
Because I don't want to be that guy that's like, oh, there's a homeless guy. Hang on a minute, mate. Widescreen.
I've seen people do that recently.
I hate it. It drives, because it's, I think that drives me mad. But by me doing that, I get such a rush and such a good feeling that I've done something good. That's filling up my bucket. Although I'm giving, I'm filling up my bucket to know that I'm doing something.
I think you're serving humanity as well. Like, we're all here to coexist and get along, right? And I do genuinely believe that. I think the psyop is to divide and conquer always. And just that little action of going out, for me, I always do the same thing. I always give money back to the homeless people. And for me, that's just like nothing.
Yeah.
But for them, it's everything.
Yeah.
And it's like they just need that little bit of light in their day to get on with it.
Good karma and life of equilibrium comes back round. It really does. And the more you can serve other people, again, tying this into the workplace, it just never sat well with me. I've done this is why I talk about so much, and I go into deep dives of the different components that make up entrepreneurship versus what makes up the workplace. Backstabbing is a core thing in the workplace, but collaboration in entrepreneurship, no communication so that you hold the cards and that you can use information that you've been fed, but you don't tell your team or other people so that you hold the power. Whereas it's about sharing as much information. So you get stuff from me, I get stuff from you, and maybe it ends up being some form of network mapping or whatever.
100%.
And there's all these, there's the two sides. And I'm sorry, but the grass is always greener on entrepreneurship. It just is in every element. Yes, there's dogs. Yes, there's people that will screw you over, but you have control. You don't have to do the business deal. You can learn from the mistake. Again, control, and not breaking your values or bending over backwards and being absolutely rogered with a big one.
Yeah.
And being so.
Also, I think another really interesting point, I was with my friend the other day and I said, when you joined your uni, did you get to meet the professor before joining? And he went, that's an interesting question. I've never really thought of it from that angle. You don't. No one does that. And I said, well, it's kind of the same thing in a job. Do you get to meet your boss before? They have an interview with you, but do you get to interview them to see if you like to get on well with them? And you don't. You never do. And it's the same thing for me. Like, when I'm picking my business partner, however we got introduced, it doesn't really matter to me. I'm focusing on their morals first, right? Immediately. But you don't do that in the workplace.
No, because again, I've done so many deep dive videos on this, because you're being dumped into a playground, which is now a situational environment. You haven't chosen to be there, so now you're molding with all these different characters that you wouldn't normally be with.
No.
So now you're becoming a chameleon yourself, because you're having to adapt and a people pleaser, and over time that's not doing your creativity, your personality any good, because your self-esteem is likely being lowered, your confidence is being lowered, because now it's a new hierarchy. Whereas when you do work for yourself in any capacity, you are the hierarchy.
100%.
You are the top of the feeding chain or whatever. And everything again is downstream from there, because you control it. And that's a big thing: controlling my time, controlling my social circle, controlling my money. Wealth management and doing well financially is about money management.
Do you think you're spiritual?
I had to go to church to get into my Church of England school. I then went to a Catholic school, but I'm not Catholic. I've been very selfish, and at times where I thought I might need the man above, I use him when I need him, which is probably wrong. Am I? I'm probably not. No, I'm just a go-getter for myself. I look back and no, do you know why as well? That, I've never spoken about this stuff. I don't lean into spiritual stuff too much. I think there is things out there. There has to be.
Yeah.
I do. I don't lean into it too much, because I feel a bit of a hypocrite that when things have gone bad, I can't then lean on something that I don't use all the time. So I don't lean into spiritual things or the man above, because I feel like a bit of a hypocrite, because I would only use him when it's going bad.
Yeah.
So,
I do think it's interesting, because I've always said that people pray to God on their deathbed, but they don't ask him for anything in between. And it's the human journey in general, I do believe in karma. 100%. I believe in the spirituality of karma because I think, you do good things to other people, it will come back. But that's not why you're doing good. You're just doing good because you should be doing good.
Yeah.
Right.
I do believe in patience and everything happens at the time because I've had too many first-hand experience that patience and timing is everything.
Yeah.
Like I've met people where I had high expectations, it fell flat on its face. But 12 months, 18 months later, even 3 years later, they came back in and they played a huge key part. And that was just a lesson of patience, that I shouldn't have forced something that wasn't meant to be at that time, but became such an important part of my life later on. And that's happened so many times that I can't doubt that that is a real thing, that time and patience, and again, the whole life of equilibrium happening at the right time and the puzzle fitting, the pieces coming together when they should. Because also, if I'd have had what I had now too early on, I wouldn't have been ready.
Yeah.
And it'd have gone down the Swanee. So, again, maturity, learning, and being proactive. Like, to become philosophical, you have to read books, you have to listen, you have to ask questions. You have to be willing to listen more than you talk.
What do you think it means to be a seeker?
What, in Harry Potter?
If you want to take it that way.
Yeah. I just think always be curious. Going back to don't take everything for gospel until you've done your own due diligence. There was something, I think it's TGU or something like that. TGU, right? I think there might be another letter, but that's the acronym. And so when someone comes up to you and says, oh, Marty, you're never going to guess what. Okay, what you're about to tell me, is it the truth?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Okay, what you're about to tell me, is it good? Not really. Okay, lastly, is it useful to me? Not really. I don't want to know. But if you are going to tell me, don't expect me to pander to your way of thinking. I'm going to think for myself, and then I'll go ask questions if it's relevant. If it has no relevance to my life, I will do nothing with it. It'll go in the bin. So yeah, TGU, is it true? Is it the truth? Is it good? And is it useful? And that's a really good way to kind of bounce back things that are coming your way and to kind of sign them off or totally ignore them. I think just seeking answers is a great thing, and what we used to say was a conspiracy. I mean, let's put it this way: David Icke was pretty much on the money, wasn't he? Really, for many years.
He was. Yeah.
How he's still alive, I don't know, but he's hung on in there. But yeah, I think it's really healthy to find out your own answers.
Do you think people are scared of stuff like that, like scared of the truth?
Yeah,
knowing too much.
Yeah, my mum is. I think my mum may have watched it. She watches all my podcasts, bless her. So yeah, mum, if you're watching to this point, you definitely. But my mum will openly admit she's of an age where she just doesn't want to face what might be the reality.
Do you think it's a generational thing though?
I think for some people who know deep down there's a truth behind it, but like for example, my mum believes that Diana had a car crash, and she'll have nothing else. She'll. So, and there's no point. I don't think she wants to. I think there's many people that don't want to accept the truth because, like with the workplace, the reason I get pushback is because people only rear their head with anger or being reactive because they felt something personally.
Yeah, it's a personal.
It's a personal attack, and it's highlighted again. Best way to describe it: vinegar on an open wound. It's because it was very personal. And the problem is that then rears their head. And if they accept that that's the truth, what happens after you accept it? You have to do something with it.
Yeah, you have to do it. Yeah.
Or you carry on living that lie.
Yeah.
So it's easier to just hate and say, no, you're wrong. That is not correct. Because if you put up that barrier to acceptance, you haven't got to deal with it. Again, lack of accountability. We can write it off. It's not the truth. Not everyone could escape the 9 to 5. Well, most people could. Well, I can't.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. If that helps you sleep tonight, you could deep down. You just don't want to. You don't want to accept it and then do the hard work.
Yeah, I want to kind of let's go into a bit of the future right now, because I'm in AI right now. I see a lot of things changing. For example, I believe if you're going through a drive-through, let's say, I don't believe you will be talking to a human on the other end, right? I believe it will be AI. I think receptionists will be AI, and I think a lot of people will lose their jobs. with that pool of people that now are unemployed, what happens then? Where do we go from there?
Well, people like me and you, we benefit massively
100%.
because we're already getting ourselves above the parapet. We're building that trust. So I don't know about you, I can't stand all the AI stuff popping up all the time. Dating will become harder. People won't know who's who online.
I'll tell you what my friend has just done. He's just created a business where it's all in-person events. So me and him, we believe that the biggest trend of 2026 will be in-person events. So he's created an in-person kind of like different hubs around the world where Gen Z can go and date properly and meet each other in the correct way.
That will be, we will go very Book of Eli, prehistoric. We will come, everything I believe will come full circle where people will go out their way to meet people because we're all sick of the AI stuff. Massive benefits to quicker phone calls and you can get access to things that we need. But in terms of the reels, I'm bored of seeing all the reels and, baby boomers are going, oh my God, I can't believe that guy just beat up a shark. It's like, he didn't, So we are getting fed up of it, which is why YouTube is great because it would be so hard to replicate this.
Yeah,
long form video. So podcasts are going to do very well. YouTube will compete with Netflix and Amazon Prime. Long form is always going to do well. But yeah, why we built such a big thing about community and bringing neighbours back together, being a holder and having that interaction of collecting from someone around the corner. Community, getting to know your neighbour, finding a lost love that only live around the corner. 2 single women at home who go to the gym, who have kids, meeting each other. It was all that in mind because yes, community and face-to-face will come back bigger and better because people will freak out and go, I can't deal with the AI stuff anymore. I need to meet someone. And with dating,
100%.
we have a dating avatar marketing side to what we'll be doing because you go on whatever online, you don't know if the profile photo is real or not. And then you might talk to someone and be like, am I talking to a fat guy with cheesy underpants in his mum's basement?
100%.
I don't know.
I also think that the algorithm has been infected now. And I believe that back to that riff thing of we've got small pockets of time to leverage these situations and to get out and to build wealth. And I think if you don't do it now, the powers that be will corrupt this era that we're in right now. And for me, one of the ways that I see them doing it right now is the psyop of comments, right? I think they've trained these AI algorithms to comment certain things to portray a certain narrative and move people in a direction.
I believe everything about social media is controlled.
Yeah.
Everything. I believe our phones listen to us all the time.
You'll say something and then it'll pop up.
And
right?
it does. It comes up on the feed. I have people that have never seen me on TikTok that will put in the comments, oh my God, I was talking about this morning.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not coincidence. It can't be. It cannot be. They're too smart. So again, going back to this is why everyone's so tired. This is a part of the process. Why has social media remained free to join? Because if you were to charge, there's a barrier. Not everyone could pay. Whereas if you give free access to all these social media platforms, people are knackered. And if they're tired, they can't think. If they're tired, they can't get creative. Majority, So yeah, I believe everything. And look at TikTok. It's basically a political platform now for reform, restore, Kia, Labour, Trump. It's all politically driven now. Because that's where everyone is. Again, it's information media.
I think the barrier to entry is your information, right? So you're prepared to join for free to then give over your information. Now, that information can be manipulated however they like to control a society.
Of course. And when does anyone ever read the T's and C's?
No one.
Someone said to me recently, oh, Aaron, I'm thinking about joining your TikTok growth program. My only hold up is this whole thing about their data breach. And I think I sent a voice note. I was like, are you on Facebook and Instagram? They were like, yeah. I'm like, they've got everything. I really wouldn't worry about another platform gaining access to your newly rudies.
They know who you are.
They already know who you are and they've seen your private parts.
Yeah. And this is part of the divide right now. And the psyop is, you'll go on a girl's profile in my generation and you go on my profile and you look at our algorithms. They're two completely different algorithms and they're two algorithms manipulating you to do certain things at any one point. It's like the Truman Show, right? We live how we're presented our reality in front of us. And that's the way I kind of see things. I do review everything that I'm watching. And if I am going to spend more time on it, it's for a purpose because I want to see it again.
Yeah.
Right. And I think you have to be really careful on what you're believing right now. Because
it's important you also put it away and you put it down.
Yeah.
Like when we went to Tenerife last year, not so much when we went to Mallorca last year, but definitely we did it Tenerife.
Where did you go in Tenerife?
Las Americas.
Yeah. I've been there a few times.
And we're going again this year. But we were there for 10 days and we left our phones in the hotel room. Apart from when we wanted to take specific photos, we left our phones in the rooms, and it was like, it was time slowed down. We read books. It was just incredible. And it again, consciousness. You have to be aware that you're not being played by the system, but you play the system. Because you have to, again, I think one thing that served me very well, and I think a common thing for people who can not get affected by things, is compartmentalizing. I can just switch off my emotions. Very, very well. Which sometimes, I suppose, for certain relationships can be seen as a negative, but it actually does me a lot of good to be able to, I don't get wound up or triggered easily. And by being able to compartmentalize, I can put things aside and not be used. So like in my last job, when people would try and trigger me or they would try and push my buttons, I was just like,
not having it.
Honestly, this is falling on deaf ears. You're subconsciously, you need to
belly.
eat.
Yeah. I haven't eaten breakfast.
But when people would do that, if you can subdue your emotions, you're in a great place. You 100%. Really are.
Aaron, it's been an absolute pleasure getting to know you over the last 2 hours or so. In light of the podcast being called Manners Maketh Man, what is one manner or principle every man should take into their life, in your opinion?
Oh, it's a good question. Quite a deep one. I think hold yourself accountable so that everyone can see that you own everything in your life. I think if that can visibly be seen by peers, your friends, your parents, your partner, your children, that no matter what's happened to you and you don't blame, I think it's such a great quality because that teaches accountability, which, as we've spoken about, society has such a lack of. So I think being visible in owning everything in your life and never blaming is probably the biggest quality a man can adopt in today's day and age.
100%. Right.
Great.
That's a wrap.
Amazing.
Thanks so much, mate.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers.
Cheers.